Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to decode the anatomy of modern, frankly logic-defying corporate growth. We're looking at two radically different case studies of cult building. One is super consumer-facing, and the other is focused entirely internally. If you want to understand how modern companies are absolutely shattering the normal rules of business, well, you're in exactly the right place. So let's just jump right in with the billion-dollar question that pretty much every marketer and business strategist is obsessing over right now. How do you take a product in a space where everyone already has what they need and turn it into an absolute cultural obsession? To really wrap our heads around the scale of what we're analyzing, just think about this staggering multiple, 10x. We're talking about a 10x transformation. For our first subject, Stanley, this represents a massive, almost unbelievable revenue jump from $70 million to $750 million in just 4 years. And for our second subject, Palantir, this speaks to their industry-defying talent density and massive founder stone rate.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll hit 1, the century-old pivot. 2, igniting a viral phenomenon. 3, the psychology of hype. Then we shift gears into 4, building the internal cult. 5, empowering extreme agency. And finally, 6, sustaining unprecedented growth.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the century-old pivot, from military thermos to Millennial Trophy. Tracking Stanley's evolution is honestly a wild ride. Founded way back in 1913, their steel vacuum bottles literally went to war in World War I fighter cockpits and were a staple in the lunchboxes of construction workers. But by 2019, they were just kind of a legacy player, stuck at about $70 million in sales. The real pivot started when a Utah-based lifestyle blog called The Buy Guide actually bought 5,000 discontinued Quencher units and sold them directly to their own followers. That specific move completely set the stage for 2023's massive viral explosion and that $750 million revenue run. Think about it. For over a century, Stanley's identity was trapped in what we'll call Era 1, marketed mainly toward men, dominated by camouflage green, and specifically designed to keep coffee hot. But under new leadership, they shifted entirely to Era 2. They focused on a female demographic, started dropping these gorgeous pastel and metallic colors, and emphasized keeping water ice cold all day long. They literally flipped their entire demographic focus to unlock this explosive new demand. Moving right along to Section 2. Igniting a viral phenomenon, or as I like to call it, chasing hearts over wallets. Now, what we're looking at here is a masterclass in real-time crisis response that poured absolute gasoline on an already growing fire. 3.3 billion. That's the number of earned media impressions generated from a single, totally unscripted moment. In November 2023, a TikTok user posted a video showing her car had been completely destroyed by a fire. But sitting right there in the cup holder was her Stanley Quencher, relatively unscathed, with the ice literally still clinking inside. Fate and the internet essentially handed Stanley the eyeballs of millions. So Stanley's president, Terrence Riley, knew they had to act at the absolute speed of social media. He didn't issue a polished PR statement. He actually posted a duet video directly to the user with this incredible quote. Instead of a standard corporate response, they did the unthinkable and bought her a new car. This masterstroke of human, relatable generosity catalyzed a 220% increase in their TikTok followers, practically overnight. Which brings us to Section 3, the psychology of hype, decoding the water talk craze. Look, you don't grow to $750 million on a happy accident alone, right? You have to engineer the psychological triggers that keep consumers completely obsessed. They basically borrowed the Scarcity Playbook straight from the sneaker world, turning a simple steel tumbler into a premium status symbol with limited edition drops, like those Starbucks collaborations that literally sell out in minutes. Economists actually call these Veblen goods, which means desirability increases with price and exclusivity. Add in the massive social proof from the #WaterTalk community on TikTok, and suddenly, owning the right color Stanley isn't just about hydration, it's about belonging to a cultural movement. Now, as an objective observer, it's really important to note that this level of viral explosion absolutely sparked some significant backlash. Critics were quick to point out the irony of people hoarding dozens of reusable cups, which, kind of defeats the whole eco-friendly purpose. There was also a wave of scrutiny regarding the use of lead pellets in their manufacturing process, though the company strongly insists their finished products remain completely safe and fully compliant. All right, we're executing a sharp pivot right here. Section 4, building the internal cult, inside Palantir's founder factory. So if Stanley grew by engineering external hype, How in the world does Palantir achieve a $400 billion market cap from the inside out? Well, this definition marks a radical departure from traditional corporate structures. Palantir doesn't just sell off-the-shelf software. They utilize what they call forward-deployed engineers. They embed highly capable talent directly into the client's environment, giving them the extreme agency to basically duct tape solutions together in real time. It explains why Palantir's tech teams look a lot more like special ops units than your standard IT department.
Let's walk through the cultural blueprint Palantir actually uses to hire and unleash this top-tier talent. First up, the mission pitch. They aren't promising easy work. They are promising a chance to solve the world's most critical problems. Second, they rigorously screen for a high ops tempo, using these grueling decomp interviews where candidates have to structure totally chaotic, abstract problems. And finally, extreme ownership. Once you're hired, even young engineers are thrown directly into massive deployments with a huge bias toward action and basically zero micromanagement.
Leading us perfectly into Section 5, empowering extreme agency and the 10% founder spawn rate. Here's the fascinating thing. When you empower brilliant people to figure out impossible problems, you inadvertently create an unparalleled talent magnet and a literal founder factory. Roughly 10% of their 4,000 alumni have gone on to launch their own startups. We're talking over 335 active companies. You've got consumer apps like Partiful, healthcare platforms like Engel Health, and, of course, defense tech firms. Palantir trained these folks to navigate ambiguity and build fast, which is the exact skill set you need to be a successful founder. But just like we did with Stanley, we need to look at the whole picture objectively. Palantir is incredibly polarizing. Because of their deep ties to government defense and intelligence, critics frequently label them a shadowy military CIA contractor. But conversely, a lot of Wall Street analysts and investors view them as entirely in a league of their own, pointing to massive commercial growth as proof they're the best software company in the world. We aren't here to take a side today, just to highlight how this bold, unyielding identity heavily fuels their internal culture. Okay, let's bring it all together for Section 6, sustaining unprecedented growth, life beyond the initial hype. So what happens when that initial frenzy inevitably cools down? Both of these companies are actively trying to outrun the limits of their explosive growth. Stanley knows the water bottle craze will eventually settle, so they're already pivoting to apparel, sweatshirts, hats, and totes under the Wear the Bear slogan, while aggressively expanding into Europe and Asia. Palantir, on the flip side, is scaling by taking those custom, duct tape solutions built by their forward-deployed engineers and turning them into highly repeatable software products that they can sell to dozens of clients at massive profit margins. So if you take away one crucial point from this explainer, let it be this. Whether you're chasing TikTokers with pastel tumblers or elite engineers with top-secret clearances, the old rules of corporate structure simply do not apply anymore. You absolutely have to abandon red tape to act at the speed of culture. You have to elevate your product from a basic utility into a deeply felt lifestyle or a vital mission, and above all, you must lean unapologetically into a completely unique cultural identity. I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought to challenge how you view your own organization's growth strategy moving forward. Look at your marketing, look closely at your hiring, and ask yourself honestly, based on what we explored today, are you just building a product, or are you building a cult? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope it gave you some amazing new frameworks to think about growth.